In the centre of an island, not found on any map, is a city. And at the edge of the city is an elite school. This school was built just before World War II and holds a dark secret. And there's only one student who is brave enough to find out what this secret is. Her name is Tomoka Itoh. The story starts in an apartment building just opposite the school. And an alarm clock is buzzing at 7 in the morning. A tired hand slaps down on it, creating a moment of silence. With a moan, a face peers at the clock, and it's a girl, and her eyes widen at the time as she darts out of her bed and quickly puts her uniform on and does her hair, and so she says to herself, "Oh my gosh, I'm late already. It's my first day and I'm already running late." She quickly grabs her bag and runs downstairs out of the building. Right next door is a coffee shop. She goes in there and then is immediately asked by a waitress, "Would you like to order something, miss?" The girl looks at the waitress and says, "Oh yes, please, I'm kind of in a hurry. Can I have the breakfast sandwich, please?" The waitress says, "Of course. I'll be right back with it." Another waitress looks at the girl and says, "I don't recognise you. Are you new?" The girl says, "Yes, I am. My name is Tomoka Itoh. I'm an exchange student." Both waitresses look at her and give each other a slight nod. And the first waitress looks at her and says, "We can't say much to you, but we urge you to watch your back. Something isn't right with that place." Tomoka looks at them and says, "What do you mean? What do you mean something isn't right?" Waitresses both look at each other and say, "I wish we could say, but we can't. We honestly don't know what is going on there. We just know that something isn't right." The first waitress says, "Here's your breakfast sandwich, but please just be careful." Tomoka says, "Okay. Sure, thanks for the warning. But I've got to go. Thanks for the sandwich." And quickly he rushes off to the school gate, where she has another short experience, which makes her go, "What on earth is going on?" Just as she gets to the gate, she sees 2 rows of weapons. Different weapons. Knives, guns, even bombs, all ready to use. She takes a moment to think and says to herself, "Why would there be weapons here? There must be a drama club or something. They must be planning on using them as their props." So thinking nothing of it, she just heads straight to the principal's office, where she knocks on the door and is invited in. The principal doesn't look up at her once. And she asks, "Hi, I'm sorry, are you the principal?" The woman looks at her and says, "Yes, I am," and then immediately looks back to her computer and says, "Can I help you?" The girl says, "Oh, yeah, sorry. My name is Tomoka Itoh. I'm the new student here. I was just wondering if I could get my schedules." The principal hands her a sheet of paper and says, "Here you go. Now go. You'll find your room in no time." Tomoka looks at the sheet of paper and says, "Oh, okay. Thank you," and walks out of the room. After a couple of minutes of wandering around the school and having to ask students for directions, she manages to find her classroom. It's empty, but she decides to go in anyway. And she takes a seat. After about 5 minutes, some other students in her class turn up. They all look at her, and one of them says, "I'm sorry, but that's my seat. You kind of have to go into your own. Please, move to your seat before the teacher gets here." Tomoka notices some of the students pointing to her seat, and they all look pretty tense and they're very worried. She says, "Okay, sorry, I didn't realise," and moves her to her seat. Just after she moves her to her seat, the teacher appears and gives an announcement, only the way she says it makes Tomoka realise that something isn't right. Teacher looks at the class and says, "I have a quick announcement before we begin. Another student has gone missing." And she leaves it like that. Tomoka notices that no one raises their hands or even shouts out to ask who's missing. Again, as though it's normal. But she has a feeling that if she asks, she won't like the result, so she keeps her mouth shut. The next hour, Tomoka is sitting in a class that has barely any interaction between the teacher and the students. All about the history of the city. An hour seems to just drag on. And it's only been 45 minutes when Tomoka is asked, "Can you tell us anything about the city, Tomoka? Or are you too busy daydreaming?" Tomoka snaps out of her thoughts and says, "Oh yes, sorry, you said that the school was built in World War II? Teacher says, "Pay attention, Tomoka. It was built just before." "No. The school was built before World War II, but during the war, it was converted into a base, into a refuge centre. After that, it was rebuilt. In future, I recommend that you pay attention." As the bell rang, the teacher looked at the class and says, "Right, your homework is to do research on the school and its history. That's all." And with that, the students quickly rush out of the classroom to their break. Tomoka goes over to a couple of students and asks, "What's going on? Everyone seems so tense, especially around the teachers." One of the students says, "Something isn't right with this place. And we don't know what it is, but students are always going missing. This isn't normal, but the way teachers act about it, you'd think it is." Tomoka says, "So, the weapon's outside? Are they, for the drama club?" The two students look at each other, and they say, "There isn't a drama club. There never has been. We don't know why the weapons are there. And to be honest, we don't want to know why. We don't want to find out. Just please, Tomoka, just follow our leads. Because